a wildlife photographer, and I have a project on leopards. Well, I hope you don't get too up close and personal with any. Why Teferi main? Because there's been a big uptick in Esper Blink and like Esper Gorios recently. And Teferi's really good into both of those. So I'm trying out Teferi in the main and the side. Also has some overlap with like Living End and Rhinos being able to stop Cascade. So it's just a bit of a tech piece that's good against what's becoming more popular and what has been fairly popular since the ban announcement. But the big thing is I just want to try out 4 Thoughtseizes today. It's been a hot minute since I've registered 4 Thoughtseizes. So I thought about going just like a little more lean. Cut a Quantum Riddler, added the Thoughtseize, added the Teferi, cut something that didn't, cut the Tamios, and then dropped the second Undercity Sewers, kept the archive, cut the Undercity Sewers. And in the board, I've got a 1-1 split of Chalice and High Noon. I think High Noon's better against the fair decks, like the fair Storm off style decks, Prowess, stuff like that. But it also does stop Cascade, where Chalice of the Void is really good into Cascade, but you don't want to see multiple Chalices because your second Chalice will, or your first Chalice will counter the second one. And Chalice of the Void plus Pest Control can be a little awkward against stuff like Rhinos or Affinity. So I don't want to have a bunch of dead Chalices and then Pest Control and stuff. So we're just going to see how it goes. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I really just want to try out 4 Thoughtseize. I have a picture of Def Leopard. Does that count? It should, right? Like, arguably one of the better leopards available. Opponent last seen Merfolk. Hand's a little too reactive on the draw on the blind. Significantly better. And I think I'm going to throw back. I think I'm going to throw back second Thoughtseize. So just have turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Frog, Subtlety up. See where that gets me. Kind of want to just get basic Swamp. Okay. Take Solitude. Get down Frog on turn 2. And if we can find third land to get Kaito down, that would be really good. Hallowed Fountain here. We find a Teferi. I was going to say, if they ripped us like a Spell Snare off the top, that would suck, but... All right, come on. Third land. Nice. I do want this draw off of the Frog. I'll take a draw. Because I'm probably going to be subtletying this Teferi, so... And ask for things to line up better than that. Yeah, it's been a pretty solid progression here, hasn't it? If they want to try to jam this to Teferi. Setting a concession on sub Teferi. Well, apparently you would be wrong. They put Teferi on the bottom. Yeah, I'm gonna draw off of this Kaito because I wouldn't mind finding a Thoughtseize here and just going like Thoughtseize, Tasker, hold up, counterspell. I mean, I would like to take your other Solitude, and I guess we'll play out this Tasker the Golden Fang. Like, what do I not want? I don't really want another Thoughtseize back. I don't really want any of these. All right. Got Counterspell, Counterspell, Plains, Ephemerate. If you find third Solitude, you have to get rid of the Ephemerate, so it can't stick around, so... Sweet. Extra Teferi, you get some Mystical Disputes. With some Fatal Pushes. Pretty straightforward. You could bring in Harbinger if you're really concerned about, like, the white land, what is it, Monumental Hinge and stuff like that. Let them find Planeswalkers, but I don't want to mess with that on the draw. Been trying a Flow State plus Lorien package and those kind of decks, and it's felt pretty good. In blue-white or in Dimir? Esper. Seems pretty good in blue-white. All right, I guess we'll get rid of Tassiger. Double Teferi. They're gonna jam a what's it called? Excuse me? My good man, what? What? This just like 4 colors Stoneblade or something? Steady, what's up? Right? It's Eternal Witness. Let me tell you real quick what I didn't have on my radar. And would have been really hot there. Well, my boarding out 4 copies of Fatal Push is looking a little less good here. Cosmic Rebirth, get back Eternal Witness. I was so very much not prepared for anything that's happening in this game too. Hmm. Well, holding Bowman like doesn't really do anything for me. But not like anything else does anything for me here either. Gonna let them ephemerate the witness and try to hit a land for Teferi. Come on, Teferi. Come on, Teferi. Okay. That shuts off ephemerate. Mind. I was not prepared for any of this. Hmm. Ephemerate has returned. Their hand is Ephemerate, Sword of Fire and Ice, Cauldron Complete, the blue or white green thing that I can't remember the name of. And an unknown. Okay. Now what? I feel like that kind of doesn't make any sense because you're never attacking with this witness, right? And you're not blocking with it, so like, what's the goal here? Unless they're wanting to like fire and ice next turn and attack. Yep. Able to find on Stoneforge Mystic. Believe we're super dead, but opponent doesn't seem to want to actually kill us. If they want a sword. We'll just sit back and wait. Mm-hmm. Got it. Children's Edict off the top. All right, we're gonna go to game 3. Is there any world I want Harbinger? Their mana base did look like kind of clunky. I don't think I hate Harbinger on the play. Mystical Dispute didn't look particularly good. Force Negation. I kind of want to keep in Bowman just because it's my best way to tempo into Kaito. Because it doesn't get 1-for-1 by Solitude. You think they have mana dorks? Hold up push just in case. I wouldn't believe that they do, but I really don't want to play a tapped Watery Grave and have my opponent just go like turn 1 Noble Hierarch and got to spend my turn 2 pushing instead of playing a frog. I am absolutely shocked that this frog is surviving. Ben a Solitude. What do you have in your hand that you're binning a Solitude? You're like thrilled if this is Stoneforge Mystic, right? Attic ending. Yeah. I feel like I wouldn't bin a Solitude, but maybe they're missing lands. Okay. Been a Solitude and been an Ephemerate. Let this go. We're about to rip this Kaito off the top. I can feel it. Okay. Fine. Feel like I would have saved that for trying to push something through a counter spell, but each their own. I get to put this straight from the graveyard to the battlefield. I'm kind of tempted to counterspell this since they're missing land drops. Subtlety, subtlety back. Elodin, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome afternoon. Appreciate you coming and hanging out. We got Solitude on Quantum Riddler. Sure. The last card, an Ephemerate. Well, this gets a little dicey. We can Fatal Push the Eternal Witness, but we don't have an answer for this Solitude at the moment. They're going to get some Jitte counters. Yep. Blocking doesn't do anything for me. Need to find an answer to this solitude. Land is reasonable. Hmm. All right, so I have to just go ahead and fatal push this Eternal Witness now. I hate so much. All right, so we get to draw 2 off a Quantum Riddler. Nothing great. Well, if I get white, I run the risk of just being dead to a removal spell. I would have to shock in. So if I block, they burn a bunch of Jitte counters. Probably worth not blocking here. Is it? Like potentially 9. I have an Ephemerate. Soak up the damage. Dominating this match. I don't think Jitte is dominating this match. I think it's just the fact that they have a creature I can't fatal push. Like a creature that dodges a good chunk of my removal. Jitte is just kind of there along for the ride. Like, they have Solitude Ephemerate. That would be killing me regardless of the Jitte. My land. Dead to that. Yeah. Dead to deck building. Ever since Flage was gone and Jeskai Blink's been less popular, I've like cut on Shieldred's edicts. Solitude definitely gained some ground because of that. Also, going into game 2, not knowing what I was up against and miss sideboarding like horrendously, that didn't help. Ursus, what's up? Been liking the Pierces a lot more than Snare. Have you not been? Not really. I think Pierce is better against like Cascade, and that's it. And I don't think like Living End's kind of popular. Rhinos hasn't really caught on at all. So I just don't think there's enough Cascade stuff going around to warrant going too heavily on the Pierces. How goes your weekend? Well, it was pretty good. Had an RCQ on Sunday. I already had my qualification for the season, but Buddy wanted to go to an RCQ, so I went and played. It was like, meh. Question, in your neighborhood, is there any community playing modern 2015 format? That sounds like a made up thing. So I'm gonna assume no. I want you to have that. And Johnny. Okay. Not too terribly bad here if they don't have an answer to the frog. They have a mana tithe. Oh my god, get out of here. What are we doing with our lives? Mana tithe. Made up thing that's becoming popular in Europe and is funny, kind of nostalgic. I don't really care for formats like that because there's no end goal to them. Like 2015 modern is never going to be a Pro Tour format or an RCQ format or anything like that. Kind of the same way that Doomwake's pure modern format was never going to be a competitive format. So it just kind of feels like wasting a bunch of time caring about it or getting it all invested into it or anything like that. Kind of the same reason I think pre-modern is cool in theory, but I would never go out and like buy a pre-modern deck and start trying to brew in pre-modern because it just doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like if you have fun with it, go enjoy it. Have fun with it. That's awesome. Fully support it. I don't have fun with it. So I just kind of go do something else over here. When it's on a mold of 6. Boros list I've been running into are on 2 Tithe, 2 Solitude. It's been obnoxious. That sounds pretty horrible. Right about it, that it's a waste of time if you're reviewing from the competitive perspective. Yeah, which is just like how I view Magic. So again, doesn't make it wrong for anybody else. Just not something I particularly gravitate towards. Don't make me go back to 2 main decks scolding energy players. I'll do it. I'm crazy. I'll do it. Does them getting basic planes here signify they might have Blood Moon in their hand? Like, I kind of want to just get a basic. Last RCQ, less than 150 people played. I feel like competitive Magic at the local level has been getting more popular. People have been playing more since the ban announcement. Fatal Push this Ocelot Pride. See if we can get a tempo subtlety here. That looks like a tempo subtlety to me. No land from them either. Harbinger of the Seas or Fatal Push. Lock yourself off of red and double white, or give me Fatal Push. I think I want to go ahead and Fatal Push this guide. They might have Mana Tithe here, but yeah. Nothing else is going on this turn. Give me back the Harbinger now. Yep. Probably okay. Play new Tassiger. Blocker in the way. Mm-hmm. They do get to gain some life. Are they going to sack the Ranger Captain? They are not. So I can Teferi, bounce the Guide of Souls. Then they're forced to chump block with the Ranger Captain. If I bounce the Voice of Victory, they don't have to block with the Ranger Captain. I guess I could attack first, and if they block, like, Ranger Captain, I get to Teferi bounce the Guide, because they have to block something. I like attack first here and force them to chump something and block the other. Because, like, if they go... It's fine. What if I just bounce the Voice now? If I bounce Guide, they can't double spell. Yeah, I think it's bounce the Voice. They can play Pride, attack the Teferi if they want. No. They can't do that because they have to double chump if they do. I don't think that gets them anywhere. I guess I could, but go after me. Nope. Oh, baby. So if I attack, we go Riddler first. In case we hit like a Fatal Push or Shieldred's Edict or something. We'll warp second Riddler, maybe hit the push. Just try to get the game over with now. And you die, you get Ocelot Pride, trigger, gain up to 3. I've got 2 flyers. There's 0 chance of the Harbinger plan working on the draw, so board that out. Works as a gotcha every now and then, but I basically would never board it in on the draw, and especially not on the draw after your opponent has seen it when you're on the play. All right, what we don't want to see here is second guide pride. Yes, it's like in a Johnny. Maybe a voice. Let's see what you got. These are the kind of lines and sequences that made me include Tasigur in the deck. Whenever anybody talks about like, oh, Murktide's just strictly better, Murktide can't do that. All right, opponent's got 2 cards, 1 card. We're definitely going to go for the Bowmaster. They're going to Solitude my Tasigur. Okay. We got... Well, thankfully we can stop that. Probably getting cycled. Let's say rip like a cycled. Draw. Blade would be kind of rad for him, not gonna lie. Blade would be awful for us. Okay. Really need like a frog off the top. Just something to let me get ahead on cards instead of trying to stay neutral. Or like subtlety off the top. All right, Tasker is not bad. Leave. Drown. Drown counterspell. Hey. 2-turn clock. If they hit a creature, we need it to be like a 1 white mana creature, not a red creature, so they can't arena plus enchantment. Or wait, these come into play tapped and attacking, don't they? All right, so they can't even block. Never mind. The Voice of Victory is fine. It's just chump blocking. I want to fetch up my Undercity Sewers and then trigger on the stack, activate Tasigur, so I don't accidentally mill over my Undercity. Counterspell or Drown in the Lock. You're telling me this card, it doesn't do anything? You're telling me Tasigur is bad? Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Tasigur's bad. All the Tassa haters. I love that we can thin our yard with Frog next to it if we want to narrow down what we want. Well, it's never going to be a guarantee, but you can definitely improve the odds. But there was Mingucci did his Sunday Murktide video yesterday, and it was a Tasigur list. It was Chao Tian's list or whatever that's running like Force of Despair with Tasigur. And somebody in the comments made a statement about like how Tasigur is in the list because it pairs so well with Frog, so you can like fuel it with Frog and exile with Frog to limit what your opponent can give you to Tasigur. And I have to stress so much, that is not why I originally put Tasigur in the list. It is not because of the activated ability. It's because it is the cheapest delve threat out there that like has relevant stats. It being 1 mana is extremely significant. The activated ability is cool text, but had nothing to do with the decision to put it in the deck. The ability has been way more relevant than expected. It has been. But again, the ability had nothing to do with the decision to put it in the deck. It was just, this is the absolute cheapest thing we can like reliably delve. The Lighted Halfling, Agatha's Soul Cauldron, Grist, Urza's Saga. Okay. Where do I want to go with this? I think I just want to hold up Counterspell this turn so that I can Thoughtseize plus counter next turn. So I'm going to have to like wade through this Urza's Saga. You think there's a viable Dimir deck that could play Snapcaster? Snapcaster is a bit of an ask. I think I'm just going to take this Grist. It makes me like a little bit worse. I guess like it doesn't really matter against future Cauldrons. Like they're going to have a Grist in the yard one way or the other. But I think taking it now lets me convert on this spell snare for sure. Wall of Roots. Counter this. Am I countering this? Probably not. Probably letting him have this because I don't really care about Young Wolf if I can find a creature. That lets me save the spell snare for Soul Cauldron. Subtletying here. Are we at a Sultai Traverse meta yet? I don't think so. Sultai still has the problem of there's just like no reason to go Sultai. See, last RCQ, my 2 losses were both by prowess. I don't know if trim a copy of Thoughtseize for something like the 3rd snare, add a consign main for making space for the 3rd pest control. Any advice? It's hard to say without knowing how the games were playing out. Bruh. The back saga. So this is like a list that Control for Days ran months ago, where it was just like Yawgmoth combined with Brood-Scale. That's a relevant card. This is the same guy that took my trophy last night on Yawg. So we'll see if we can avenge. Ah. Taking blood. Blood was not particularly worth it. See if he plays something before combat. Thankfully, this saga crack kind of like incentivizes something to get cast before going to combat, which is really good if I get subtlety down. I think I want to save this subtlety. Like, I could flash it in, eat the first half of this Yawgmoth. Maybe that's not... Or the first half of this Young Wolf. Maybe that's not awful, but I kind of feel like I don't need to do that yet. And the decisions pay off. Surely you got to put that on the bottom. Yeah. I don't know if you know who Meat MTG is. Yeah. Hunt me down at every RCQ lately and giving me a round 1, round 2 loss. Well, Meat is a very, very good Yawg player. So... try to turn the corner here. Just gonna hard cast this. Yeah. Warping, it's definitely safer, but like I already have the force negation. There's a reasonable chance I can find a blue card and be able to force a cauldron if they happen to hit one. Asking brood scale. Let me tell you what I'm not blocking. Exile 1, 2, 3, whatever. Ah, yeah. That looks like more than 9. Push the wolf now, it doesn't come back. Right. That is correct. I guess I'm boarding in consigns. I don't think that they're on Kozilek's command. At least I highly doubt they're on Kozilek's command, but been wrong before. I want all the pest controls. Maybe this is a little heavy on consign, but like Saga, Agatha's Soul Cauldron, Brood Scale, all very relevant targets. Bobble. Gonna fire off Thoughtseize here. Gristicles. Young Wolf. So my options are hold up mana in case they do happen to top deck a Soul Cauldron. Or get down Frog. Getting down Frog is way better in the long run, but I also kind of feel like it gives my opponent a window here that I really don't want to give them. I can also look at like Subtlety plus consign the Vexing Bauble trigger if need be. Or Fatal Push the Young Wolf and Subtlety the Undying trigger. Or not Subtlety, consign the Undying trigger. You know what I mean. Okay. This same situation. This might be play Teferi. Just in case they go for Beseiju on my white source, but that's not like end of the world either. Fairy. Another land. Yawgmoth. Boo. Boo. All right. Their last card in hand is Beseiju. So I can pest control, wipe these two. They do get to sack the Grist. Doing pest control in response to Grist Minus, that doesn't do anything because Young Wolf would come back and they'd still get to sack it. But I want to pest control now so they don't get a redraw off this bauble. Push Wolf, pest control is not really where I want to be because they just get to keep ticking up this Grist. I need to get Grist off the battlefield. Like, I need this minusing, not ticking up. This at least makes them sack the Young Wolf instead of this new Halfling. Well, the hope at the time was that they would miss a draw step and I could get subtlety down to kill the Grist, but they didn't miss a draw step. I should have played the Dark Slick Shores. Fair. Pretty solid hit. Yeah. Most of the decks like this, I feel, have been using Grist as like a one of Green Suns or Cord Target or something like that. I feel like I never see any lists anymore running like multiple Grist. Unfortunately, Grist absolutely solos us. Rumble finds them a Soul Cauldron. Or then get a Halfling or a Fulminator. Yeah, get Soul Cauldron. Okay. Okay. If I attack into this cauldron, or if I attack into this spawn token, am I okay with them blocking and I just play another frog? Yes. Don't block, so we Bowmaster down the spawn. The Odyssent, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome afternoon. Yep. Okay. Still pretty good. Kind of want it. The best blue-black player? I don't know about that. Maybe like top 200. See if they want to... Why would you Cauldron my Fatal Push there? Why would you not want to like Cauldron your own Fulminator or something? Oh. Okay, what's worst case scenario for me? They have 4 cards in hand. They have not missed a land drop. They have Walking Ballista. Is there anything besides Ballista that gives me fits here? I just want to be sure I draw that counter spell. I want to attack with the Bowmasters. No, because I could give him a free second creature with a counter on it. I'm going to pass holding up counter spells, spell snare. Fulminator, I don't care about. They've already got that effect if they want it. Soul Cauldron, I don't care about. Or Soul Guide Lantern. Sure. Right, I think I discard Frog, Snare, and Warp Riddler. And I think I'm going to get Hallowed Fountain here. I don't actually need the Hallowed Fountain, but if they want to like waste time going after it, like hitting Fulminator to go after Hallowed Fountain, I feel like that's kind of a plus for me. So discard Frog, discard Snare, Warp Riddler, Frog, make a comment about not caring about a white source. Okay. We're going to go with the Fulminator. Does this 2 damage matter? Don't think so. Scared to be wrong. All right. What does Brood-Scale do? This comes down. They Soul Cauldron a halfling onto Brood-Scale. They get to make a dude. Is that it? Is there anything else about that I care about? Well, like, I get that they make an extra spawn, but they have 2 cards in hand, and I have a counter spell. And if I don't need to counterspell Brood-Scale, I can save it in case one of these is like a fatal push. So I'm double checking and making sure Brood-Scale doesn't do anything to actually kill me. What did I tell you? They were going to go after the white source if I put it out there. They're going to go after the land I just don't care about. That's fine. That triggers Bowmaster. Else? So the distraction Hallowed Fountain mattered there because if my opponent wanted to resolve something, they could have sacked on one of my untapped blue sources, and I wouldn't have been able to counterspell anything. But they went for the tapped Hallowed Fountain that I had already gotten value out of that didn't matter. Mind games. Mind games. Don't say they never matter. If that doesn't deserve a like and follow for anybody who's not currently following the stream, I don't know what does. What do we got? Quick question. On rules, let's see. By the way, for paper play, this came up in a Yawg match and it didn't really matter for the outcome of the game, but wondering if this is a legitimate rules check / judge call. My opponent has a Dryad Arbor in play and Cauldron's a halfling, giving Dryad Arbor halfling ability. They tap Arbor to play Yawg and don't announce anything. I go to counterspell it. Why is it assumed that they use the halfling ability and not just tapping Dryad Arbor for green? It's the same thing that happened. They updated the Cavern of Souls ruling too, so that anytime you tap Cavern of Souls for the card type being named, you're assuming to be tapping it for colored mana to make that spell uncounterable. That's just what they have changed the default to, so that you don't have exactly those scenarios where it's like, well, technically my opponent didn't say they wanted uncounterable mana, but the intention is that they want their spell to not be counterable. Is this not different though because Dryad Arbor is already a mana generating ability? No, because Cavern of Souls already has a mana generating ability and then a different ability that makes stuff uncounterable. So it's like the exact same idea. You're just choosing one over the other, and it's assuming that you're choosing the beneficial one and not the one that literally doesn't matter. All right, I think I'm going to get down Frog here instead of going for the Bowmaster right away. Yeah, the ruling change is basically supposed to be such that you don't have to worry about not saying explicitly the correct wording, or when intention is implied, you don't have to worry about announcing things specifically. Oh, you weren't kidding about Solitude and Boros Energy, were you? Thing we're doing now. Like, I agree that it's not technical, because in practice you should be able to say like, hey, I want to imply, or I want to make this spell uncounterable and I'm choosing to use that ability, but in practice it just doesn't work out that way. Why Frog over Orcish Bowmaster? Because I wasn't expecting them to have a way to get Frog off the battlefield. Like, they played basic plane, so they couldn't have double Galvanic Discharge. I was fine discarding some cards. So I figured the Frog was safe. But now that Boros Energy is playing a bunch of Solitudes and stuff, got to rethink that. You were still in first main. Okay. Well, we had fun. Both sides fought hard. Decisions mattered. Blood Moon and Solitude in the main. See how you like it. That situation got a little convoluted for me in my head when I was thinking about, mainly because the creature has 8 different activated abilities available to the player, so I feel like you should say which one he's using. I get the frustration about it. In very like niche scenarios like that, it's unfortunate that there's miscommunication, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just it's just trying to make it so that there aren't more times where your opponent is punished or someone is punished for making a legitimate mistake. Like forgetting to say, I want to use uncounterable mana for this spell, instead of just, I'm using mana from this to cast whatever. Kaito stays in versus Boros. Well, I don't have much to cut in this list. Like, I think Kaito's better than Thoughtseize on the play. Not necessarily like, oh my god, I want to have all my Kaitos. Kaito's so good, but our options are limited. To draw. All right. Well, at the moment, I don't feel like I'm getting Blood Mooned. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. I want another pest control. I'm kind of considering just cycling the first one. I think I will. Opponent's like not doing anything I want to pest control against. What do I think about just windmill slamming a Kaito here? Or am I just absolutely beyond ungodly terrified of what's it called? Mana Tithe? Well, the reason for Kaito would be Kaito's immune to any sort of interaction on my turn, so they have to untap and interact on their turn, and I've got interaction. If I play Tasigur and they go for like end of turn Celestial Purge or something, then I have to make a decision about protecting the Tasigur versus just letting them have it. I just don't have to make that decision with Kaito. I'm a little hesitant on this. It's definitely better if they have something like Guide Pride on their side. Or if they just untap and jam like a Legend of Roku or something. Also, yet again, couldn't have done this with Murktide Regent. Haters in shambles. Kind of feel like Force This is better. They have like Solitude on Tasigur. I can think, but I also want to say this is a spot. I'm not going to do it here, but this is a spot where Tasigur is better than Murktide because I can pick up this Tasigur to Kaito. I can ninjutsu it. If I surveil and draw a card off Kaito and throw some cards in the yard, then if I find a land, I can just replay the Tasigur. Or if I find like something to bend plus a fetch, I can just play the Tasigur back out and have like subtlety up. Where Murktide, I wouldn't be able to do that because I don't have the resources in the yard. So when I say that Tasigur is better to pick up to Kaito, that's like what I'm getting at. All right, if I subtlety off of Kaito, what am I afraid of here? Subtlety off Kaito, I have Bowmaster, which is presenting lethal. And I'm holding up Counterspell. The reason for subtlety instead of Counterspell here is Counterspell's like my catch-all. So if they have a Celestial Purge to get rid of Tasigur, I can interact with that. But if I Counterspell and they Purge, I can't do anything about that. I would still have like Bowmaster and to untap, but have the Solitude, or are you dead? You're dead. Good draws off the top. Sage redeemed a deck tech. All right, let me get through this last game against Boros, and then we'll check that out. If we're Esper, should we just be Gorios? I mean, probably, but yet here we are. What do I think of this? I fold to a turn 1 Ragavan. I've got a lot of game if the game goes long, so I'll risk it for the biscuit. I got like 4 pushes, 4 or 3 pest controls. Okay. As of them attacking with this Ragavan, they don't have a lot going on. Opponent has kindly filtered land off of my deck. We know that was their top deck. Draw. I am going to have to tank this Ragavan hit and hope that it doesn't hit anything. Basic swap. Okay. We will get an island, Bell Snare, a Johnny. I'm not going to go for the fatal push yet. I'm just gonna force my hand. They don't play out a new Ragavan. That's kind of interesting. I'm going to surveil and see what's on top before I make a decision with the Sink into Stupor. Do I care about them having a subtlety? If they play that, I get to Sink into Stupor my own subtlety? That doesn't seem awful. They'd have to like burn all of their treasure tokens to do it. Yeah, sweet. Opponent controls to its owner's hand. Yeah. So I Sink into Stupor, it goes back to my hand. Nice. That's a pretty good draw too. This is 3 to use. All right, I want to give them a chance for their last card, unknown card, to be a land, and they go land, activate, encampment. It doesn't look like it is. It was a land, and they didn't go for it. No! We were going to have such a good turn if they were just play the land first and go for the encampment. Not that this is like awful for us, but. All right, blue card or land. Blue card or land, and I'm happy. Blue card land, blue card land, blue card land, blue card land. Upkeep Raven Charm my token. Hit my yard. Sure. Blue card. Cool. Okay. Show me a creature off the top. A creature that I can interact with off the top. No, like, uncounterable, random white creature I've never heard of before. That is a creature I can interact with off the top. Assume they put this on the bottom because this just isn't racing. Draw 2 off Quantum Riddler. Our opponent. Got a frog, shock in a watery grave, pass with a subtlety up. Get to draw 2 more on our next turn. Opponent plays a creature, they're just dead. They do not. GG. Okay, let me get to this deck tech real quick. See what I missed in chat. Our old friend Jun Traverse seems well positioned right now. Moon Shadow's better threat. See how it changed the matchup. First Boros. Now we keep Thoughtseize on the play. We're not afraid of losing life because of Flage. True. Moon Shadow's tested worse than Goyf's terrible late game top deck compared to Moon Shadow. Goyf can be close to just as big, just as early. I'd say Moon Shadow is more polarizing, where Goyf is more consistent. Yet again, Flage would be kind of sweet for them. It would. They should really, really let them have that card. Okay, let's check it out. Ral Zarek Guest Lecture. Get this card out of your 75. Feels better than Ren. You shut your mouth. Better than Ren. I'm not a fan of the Ral. I feel like if you just wanted a Planeswalker, Grist, Ren, obviously I'm a Ren stan, but Grist would even be probably better. Ral's just so meh. Like, Ral doesn't interact with the board in like any meaningful way. And that kind of sucks. Abigail, Trawler, Foreshadow, 3 FOMO. Why 2 Gore Clan instead of 1? 3 Moon Shadow, 4 Nethergoyf, 4 Street Wraith, 1 Dream Steel, Norfolk Thoughtseize, 3 Traverse, Abrupt Decay, Fatal Push, Tarfire, Unholy Heats, Mishra's Baubles, Seal of Fire, Arena of Glory. FOMO's the only thing you can do Arena with. I guess Charmaw, Magebane, Magus out of the board. Blood Crypt, Mire, Forest, Overgrown Tomb, Rocket Cedar, Stomping Ground, Swamp, blah, blah, Damping Sphere, EE, Magebane, Magus, Meltdown, Spellbomb, Charmaw, Pick Your Poison, Children's Edict, Vexing Bauble. Okay. From start to finish, I don't like Ral. I think it's a very bad Planeswalker. It's cool. I don't think this is the shell for it. Like, I don't think if you're immediately playing Ral and minusing it to unearth something, if that's not like the first thing your Ral is doing, then it's not worth it in that shell. Abigail's good. Trawler's fine. Shadow's good. FOMO's good. The second Gore Clan, usually like the first one, the idea of the first one is you go get this and it just ends the game. And if you're not getting Gore Clan, you're getting Abigail. So I feel like a third one of these effects is a bit much. Moon Shadow is fine. I will say between Moon Shadow and Nethergoyf, Moon Shadow does pair better with Abigail. Because if you have like a Moon Shadow early and a Nethergoyf early, if you Abigail the Nethergoyf, it just becomes a 0/1 flying first strike lifelinker. If you Abigail the Moon Shadow, then it's whatever power it was. So like its power minus the 1/1 counters, whatever. And or 7/7 minus the 1/1 counters, and then flying first strike. So you can have like a 4/4 flying first strike lifelink Moon Shadow. You can't have a flying 4/4 flying first strike Moon Shadow or Nethergoyf. So I would probably be inclined to go with the 4th Moon Shadow over the 4th Nethergoyf, or just the 4th Moon Shadow over the 2nd Gore Clan Rampager. Dreams of Steel and Oil. It's fine. I kind of feel like there's not much of a reason to play Dreams now that Flage is gone, unless you just want to have a little extra interaction for Gorios or something. Still, it feels kind of mid. If your goal is the Exile, I would probably just play a Nihil Spellbomb in the main instead of the Dreams. The Hand Disruption is kind of meh. It misses a lot of relevant stuff. Missing like Fatal Push, Unholy Heat, Ephemerate, Teferi, what even is in the modern metagame at the moment. You get the idea. Altie's great. Traverse, fine. Abrupt Decays, fine. Push, Tarfire, Heat. I think I kind of like fourth Tarfire over the first push. Like on turn 1 and 2, they basically hit the exact same stuff. After that, Heat hitting like Quantum Riddler is a big deal. Or Planeswalkers hitting Teferi, hitting Narset, mostly Teferi. A little bit better. There's not really a lot of, like, Fatal Push is better against Frog, but Unholy Heat is still good against Frog, and you already have Abrupt Decay. So I think I would go with fourth Unholy Heat over Push. Lands are fine. You've got 18 plus the Boggart Trawler, 4 Wraith, 4 Bauble. Sideboard's fine. I don't know if you need Pick Your Poison because like Zoo is non-existent at the moment. I might just swap this with something more targeted. Like I've run Natural State before. If your goal is to take out like Ensnaring Bridge and Urza's Saga, Construct Blockers, stuff like that, then Natural State kind of does the same job, but it lets you choose what you're hitting. Not that that comes up a ton, but it can come up from time to time. Everything else is reasonable. Saw someone on Reddit suggest Sinister Concoction. I saw that comment where they like, let me see if I can find it real quick. They went all in on like quoting the exact rule that lets it happen, but it's basically Sinister Concoction creates like 3 triggers for Moonshadow. I'm not saying I think that's worth it, but I was impressed with the explanation. Yeah, this one. So Sinister Concoction, 1-mana enchantment, black, pay a life, put the top card of your library to your graveyard, discard a card, destroy target creature. Or sacrifice Concoction, destroy target creature. Apparently, the way the rules work is each of these individual actions occurs separately for purposes of Moonshadow. So, like, you put the top card of your library in the graveyard. If it's a permanent, that's a trigger. You discard a card. If it's a permanent, that's a trigger. You sack Sinister Concoction, that's a permanent, that's a trigger. So, can get a bunch of Moonshadow triggers, like, in one activation. Could also just grow Nethergoyf pretty aggressively. Again, I don't know if I think that's worth it, but it's cool, and I appreciate that they like broke down the rule and the reasoning and everything. So we'll give them an upvote on that because I appreciate the attention to detail. So kudos to that commenter. It might be worth it over like the Fatal Push slot. The only problem I would have with Sinister Concoction, do you have to have a target for it? Or can you pay 1 life, put the top card of your library into your graveyard, discard a card, sacrifice it, destroy target creature. So yeah, I think you have to have a target when you sacrifice it. Can't just like randomly fire it off. Ooh, it's Stack Faden. Kind of mid. Way more mid. All right, what kind of obscure off-the-wall combo is Dak Faden 07 going to kill me with? Archangel, what's up? Knowing Daki's on something absolutely bonkers. Yeah, it's going to be some obscure, like, 3-card combo with 2 cards you've never heard of in your life. Wild Nicodle. How fast will we die to a Lyalia the Blade Reforged? Yep. Lyalia Zoo. Okay. Of course, it's Zoo. He's a pet zoo player. He is a big time zoo player, but usually it's always like, what kind of obscure change can I make in zoo? What kind of off the wall zoo related combo can I throw in my deck? I think he's playing the version with Violent Outbursts or Rhinos. You think he's playing Violent Outbursts and Rhinos in this build of Zoo? This build that he is currently registering right now, you think has Violent Outburst? Actually, I don't even know why I'm mocking that comment, because it might. It very well could. Whenever it attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Whenever one or more cards are put into your exile from your library in a graveyard. Yeah, so I just counterspell this. Because it gets the counter before I get to do anything. So I'd have to give up Bowmaster, like, and the tokens and whatnot to deal with it. Want to hear something funny about this? I too am in his Discord with Brews and helping the brewing process. And y'all's idea was to put together Rhinos with Violent Outburst into Wild Nicodle. I'm fine making him burn a Leyline Binding here, because maybe I can get Teferi down next turn. This takes up this turn. So, just so I'm sure about this, and I'm clear of the intent, y'all looked at lists that were cascading consistently into 2 4-mana tramplers, or 2 4-power tramplers, and said, nah, I'd rather cascade maybe sometimes into a 1-mana 3/3. Just tell me I got this right. Tell me I'm hearing correctly the things that you're saying. Cascading into Nicodle plays around Bobble as Nicodle costs 1 mana. Well, shit, you got me there. I've been defeated. All right, I'm going to play Kaito. You have another Stubborn Denial, you got another Stubborn Denial, but I want to try to get something down that can end the game. All right, it's your last card, Lightning Bolt. It is. We were on a mold of 5 that game, so I'm not going to feel too bad about it. I wonder if he's still on like Leyline of the Guild Pact, or I would assume so, right? If I'm not wanting pick your poison the board, but feel light on enchantment removal, you think natural state is fine? I think natural state hits everything you care about except exactly Leyline binding. But it hits like Saga, it hits Blood Moon, it hits basically everything else. I'm sure you can find like some random little things it doesn't hit, but for the most part, it gets everything. All right, we might die to this wild Nicodle. I think it's sink into stupor. I guess if he does nothing, I don't hate going after the Leyline. If he's got like Mystical Dispute. Gotta do something. All right, what you got? Endurance. Didn't have that on my radar. Nope. All right, so we counterspell in the Coddle on the way back down. I assume he's got something better than Nicodle in hand, too. So, like, I fight over the Nicodle and he gets resolved like a Lyelia or something. But I think I just have to respect the The Nicodle. Acting at me. Show me what you got. Doba Brawler. All right. Good old-fashioned Zoo beating up on the stumbling. I appreciate it. Moto. Don't give me the spinning beach ball of death now. 3-2. We went 1-1 against Boros Energy. And then lost to just Wild Nicodle Zoo. What do we think of the 75? Teferi was not very impressive. So I don't hate just like leaving Teferi in the sideboard. Probably need to find an extra piece of interaction in the main. Like actual removal. Thoughtseize was okay. But I'm kind of feeling like I don't want 4 Thoughtseize in the main, but I probably want 4 Thoughtseize in the 75. Why cut 4th Force Negation? Because we're not losing to the decks that we want Force Negation against. We're just losing to like Boros and Zoo and aggressive creature on the battlefield decks. Number of pest controls in the main. I think that's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Like, I want some interaction. I don't want more spells that are making our other matchups worse. I want something that's like reasonable against Boros while not being dead in other matchups. Like Drown in the Loch should theoretically fit that role. Toxic Deluge. I think Deluge is like farther down that spectrum than Pest Control is. Like, you can cycle Pest Control. The problem is in a lot of... Okay. The problem I have with main deck Pest Control is, yes, you can cycle it away, but a lot of times in the matchups where Pest Control is dead, you don't have time to cycle Pest Control away. Like, you're needing to use all of your mana early and often, and Pest Control is just a dead piece of cardboard. So I really want to limit the number of things that are completely dead in my main deck in some matchups like that.